What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another solo leveling arise video. Alright guys, you'll have to excuse me, I've been running on 1 hour of sleep in the last 27 hours, and I have a 30-member summon coming up in the next hour or so. So I'm going to try to give you guys everything you need to know about Thomas in terms of our testing. I will give you guys a couple disclaimers now. Everyone was complaining that Thomas was going to be defensive because we all thought that, you know what, if you're not an attack unit, you don't get the expert set. Well, this is a whole topic in itself, and I'll make a separate video on it, but it looks like Netmarble has gone ahead. The devs have gone ahead and changed a lot of the accessories to make up for the fact that a lot of other units do not have expert set associated. So we're going to show you guys what we did for Thomas, what are the best sets, what the results were, where the sweet spot is, and what you should aim for as a free-to-play player and as a pay-to-win player, of course. And we'll show you guys and walk you through what sets were used and what the numbers look like as I go through it. Okay, so first off, I want to say a big shout out to Non and everybody else who joined the live stream. I want to say a big shout out to the community and Zaf as well too. We did a lot of the testing together. Now I want to make a couple things clear with this testing. This testing was only done through Guild Boss and POD as usual. We wanted to see how the units pretty much functioned on their own, because that's usually where majority of the units will be used at end game, and we wanted to see if the units themselves how they compared against other DPSs, specifically Thomas versus Cha. We did Thomas with supports, and we did Thomas with Gogun He, just to see where the numbers stacked. Okay, so first off, I want to make things known that we did A0, A3, and A5. A1 and A2 really are not that viable in terms of the DPS increase. A3 was a massive increase. A5 was huge. So the first thing I'm going to tell you guys, even if you're a free-to-play player or pay-to-win player, you want to aim for A5 to A10 with Thomas. Absolutely. Is he a monster? 1000%. Is he top tier? 110%. You guys are looking at probably one of the best units ever presented. There are a couple of conditions that I want to talk about that he does kind of fall into that you might want to be careful of. And remember, we don't have the skills and rotation in this video. That I'll do in a separate video when I do manual gameplay with him to give you guys the most optimal results. All right. So a couple things to note also, because of the changes in artifacts, some of this data is not going to be conclusive. There may be other results that come out. I do think the B set has now been officially replaced by these new accessories, and if you don't know what accessories I'm referring to, we're talking about the following accessories. Talking about Obsidian accessories, we're talking about the execution accessories, and we're talking about the behemoth accessories. All right, those ones are making a massive splash, not to mention Champion on the Field has made a pretty big splash, and a few others. Okay, so we did again a lot of different tests, so I'm going to go over this with you now. My Thomas himself is actually A10. Again, he has had maximum support. We pushed him all the way to full growth, A10, full A10 weapon, the sets that work best for him, and we're going to show you guys everything else that you need to worry about when it comes down to Thomas as a unit. Okay, so let's start off with this. So this is what we started with originally. Okay, first off, Zaf did beat me on my summons, you fucker. He got really lucky. So we're going to see more lucky summons coming up very soon. And with that being said, we started off Thomas with 4 Guardian, 4 Curse. Now the reason why Guardian works so well for Thomas is a lot of his scaling comes from his shield. If you look here, a lot of the things he does, he gains a shield. The user gains a shield effect equal to 2% of his defense. The user gains a shield effect 2% of his defense. Again, 2% of his defense with a shield. So pretty much everything he provides, he does a shield that is pretty much going to give him a ton, and I mean a ton of survivability. But there is a caveat. The moment he does his ultimate black hole, while he's in the Goliath form, the shield does go away, leaving him extremely vulnerable to damage. Even though he does scale off of defense, he's very squishy because his health is not that high. So keep that in mind. And again, this is noticed in the gameplay, which you can watch the full gameplay if you want in the live stream that I'll be linking in the description. All right, so let's go through what you need to know. So when the user uses Absolute Demolition, Colossal Crush, Gigantic Slam, or Volley Crush, it activates the overpowering effect. So these are any of these skills that you see here, this, and this. And I believe this one here, Volley Clash, so it's QTE. Every time you do those skills, he will activate the overwhelming power. The user's power gauge will not be charged, and there will be no cooldown. Instead, Ruler's Judgment becomes available when overwhelming power is stacked up to 5 times. In teamfight mode, the user's damage dealt increased by 24%. This is where he shines. The teamfight mode is when you do POD and guild bosses, okay? All of his damage increases by 24%. So overwhelming power, the user's defense increases by 10%, user shield acquisition chance increases by 2%, This can stack up to 5 times. So you guys can see this can go pretty damn high. At A1, the user gains a shield effect, activates over. Whenever he gains a shield effect, he activates overwhelming power. So this is instantly activated. Increases the shield acquisition chance by 8%. That's right. It's an acquisition. It's not 100% that he'll get a shield. When a shield effect is activated, though, it increases the critical rate and critical damage by 10%. A3 is where the sweet spot is for free to play, but I highly recommend you push to A5 and we'll show you why. The overgrowth effect is applied when a shield is active. Cooldown is only 0.5 seconds. If the last hit of a Colossal Crush lands while Steel Tyrant is active, it activates Overgrowth. What does Overgrowth do? Well, the Overgrowth, the user's shield shatters into sharp frags of lightning or light area of effect, dealing 200% of Thomas's defense to the opponent. For every 1,000 shield effects applied, the damage Overgrowth increases by 100, increasing up to a maximum of 1,000% more damage, which is fucking crazy. Just crazy. Increases defense by 16%. This is the highest I think anyone's ever gotten. I think the next one is Go. If you look at his A4, is 12%. 12%, right? So there you go. National Hunter stats right there, giving him an extra 4% over Go Gun He. And then while the Steel Tyrant effect is active, it increases the damage of Black Hole Crash by 125%. All right, so you guys can see here we have ourselves quite a bit of damage. Now, I'm going to show you guys some numbers here, and you guys are going to see this. And it should blow your mind a little bit in terms of how well he does. All right, so let's go look at some numbers together and see what worked for him. Okay, so first off, we did 4 Guardian, 4 Curse. At A0, when we did POD, he did 22 million on his own. This is without SJW's involvement. At A0 with Guild Boss, he did 39 million. Now, I will tell you this, he's very squishy in this stage, and Guild Boss is bugged. If you retry Guild Boss, it will just end up stacking all the actual rages. It doesn't reset, so make sure you exit when you do your testing. If you continue retrying, the rage just keeps stacking. It's a bug right now. You might get banned. Be careful of that, okay? So you guys can see here are the numbers at A0, 39 million on the boss on his own, and then 22 million on POD. Now, the moment we jump to A3, he almost doubled all of his numbers. So 65 million on his own when it came down to POD for Fachna, and then right over here he did 47. So he doubled his numbers in POD at A3. That's right, double the damage using the same set, okay? And the set here shows you 22k defense. This is without cores, by the way. 50% crit damage, 192%. Defense pen was 4.68. Damage increase was 13.16. All right, just so you guys can see the numbers there for the actual outfit. And I'll show you guys more here shortly. Now, we took him to A5 after that. He did 90 million during the same phase. So he actually survived the entire fight. Here he died at a minute. Here he died at a minute. If you count the minute here, he did 90 million on Fachna. So he did about 30 million more. 35, I think 90 to 95 million. So he did about 25 to 30 million more damage on his own. But then he actually survived the whole fight. So you can see here the number doubled, a little over doubled. So A5, a huge amount of damage, okay? And this is again on his own, right? If you look at the results for Power Destruction, almost doubled it. So, safe enough to say A5 is where everybody should aim because he's not a breaker, he's not a support, he's a DPS. And for your DPS, you absolutely want to push as much damage as you can. So A5 should be everyone's goal. So, how did he do at A10 compared to other people in a team? So the first thing we did is we tested 4-piece Guardian, 4-piece Curse. Here are the stats. So we have ourselves 26,000 defense, 50% crit, 212% crit hit damage, 4.68% defense penetration, 19.84% damage increase. If you look at the numbers here, here's how it looked. During the Guild Boss, he did 275 million, 231 million Gogan He, 207. Okay, so we did a couple tests. I want to make sure that we got this correct. So the next test he did in the same outfit, he did 323 million, which I'll do in 253, 217. You guys can see he's always a cut above the rest when it comes down to it. Now, we did 8-piece Curse. So how did he do with 8-piece Curse? Well, he came out with 329 million. This is the only time this number popped up with Curse. Yeah, AP's Curse did actually not do that well after this fight, and I'll show you guys more of that, okay? You guys can see here, Charlie did 266. He did about 60, maybe about 70 million more than her, and Gogun, he did 236. All right, we did AP's Curse yet again, and this time we did it in POD. All right, the reason why we did it for POD is we wanted to compare different modes to see where he did well. In POD, he still beat Cha by about 9 million with AP's Curse. if you look at four-piece Warmonger, four-piece Obsidian, he actually did 195 million. So you can see 45 million more. So it looks like Warmonger with Obsidian, and Obsidian's going to be the main thing to look at here, did actually better, okay? And the numbers, in terms of stats, the stats were actually lower for defense with this set. My Warmonger set was horrible. So he did actually do better with an inferior set. So Warmonger and Obsidian was the second best set that he had. All right, now let's go back up here. We're gonna do four-piece Curse and four-piece Obsidian. Okay, you guys can see here, four-piece Curse, four-piece Obsidian. He did 252 million with 1 minute still remaining. I had to stop because Chalk kept dying. You guys can see he out-damaged her quite a bit. Four Curse and four Obsidian here again. He did 305 million, and that was the closest thing to the 8-piece Curse, 329. This was more consistent with the good numbers. So 4 Curse, 4 Obsidian did much better, in my opinion, than 8-piece Curse, because 8-piece Curse was just way too inconsistent, and this one just was way more consistent, okay? And I'll show you guys what Obsidian is. It's outstanding abilities, what the thing's called, I believe. I think. I'll have to double check what the name is, the actual name. And then if we go down to 4-piece Curse and 4-piece Obsidian in POD, you guys can see here the 211 million here versus the 150 here versus the 195 here, and then versus four Warmonger, 4 Curse, 156 million here. So he did much better with the 4 Curse, 4 Obsidian setup here than anything else. So one thing we've noticed across the board, once you start looking at all of his sets, the Obsidian set seemed to work the best. Now, if you don't know what the Obsidian set is, I'm going to show you guys real quick. It's this set over here called Outstanding Ability. And essentially what it does now is when the user has 70% or more of their MP, the damage they deal goes up by 30%. With the damage dealt increases potency, increases to 60%, and this effect now triggers when the user is 40% or more of their MP. One thing you'll notice about Thomas is he almost never runs out of MP. His MP pool is super high, and he continues to stay at that at the ultimate. So the ultimate set at the moment, guys, at the moment, because we have not a chance to try Executioner and Berserker, those two other sets. The reason why I'm saying this at the moment is we never had a chance to try those. So for now, the two best sets possible for him, believe it or not, it's not Guardian and Obsidian. It's actually going to be Warmonger and Obsidian and Curse and Obsidian. All right, those two came out on top. Now, when you do a full team, though, and I'm talking about a full team of guild bosses, like let's say you do a full team of 9, the 4-piece Guardian on numerous units will probably be better, because the more shield he absorbs from other units, the stronger his attack becomes, right? So that's the only time I see that 4-piece Guardian and 4-piece Obsidian will work. But right now, the best two sets are going to be 4-piece Warmonger and Obsidian, and then 4-piece Curse and Obsidian. All right, guys, if you have any comments or questions, let me know. This spreadsheet will be attached for you in the video. You guys can take a look at it yourselves. Thank you so much for watching. Best of luck on your summons. I'll see you guys in the member summons video very shortly. Take care.